Why does a trader break a rule they fully agreed with just minutes earlier? And why does that small slip so often turn into a much bigger problem? At the center of trading psychology is a simple but uncomfortable idea. People do not usually break rules because they forgot them. They break rules because something changed inside them faster than their decision process could adapt. In trading, a rule is a pre-committed instruction, like where to exit, how much risk to take, or when not to trade. Rule breaking happens when emotion, fatigue, stress, boredom, overconfidence, or urgency overrides that plan in real time. This matters because one broken rule is rarely isolated. It often changes the next decision too. A trader moves a stop, then increases size to make back a loss, then takes a trade that was never part of the setup. The damage is not only financial. It also weakens trust in the process. Once the process feels optional, consistency becomes much harder. A useful way to understand this is cause and effect. The visible problem is the rule break. But the earlier causes are usually things like emotional activation, unclear rules, decision overload, or a mismatch between the trader's plan and the actual market environment. If you only focus on the final mistake, you miss the point where it could have been caught early. So how do traders catch it early? Start by separating the trigger from the action. A trigger is the internal or external event that raises the chance of self-sabotage. The action is what follows, such as canceling a stop-loss order. A stop-loss is an order designed to limit downside by exiting when price reaches a preset level. Catching the problem early means learning to identify the trigger before it becomes the action. Common triggers are surprisingly ordinary. A string of losses can create frustration. A string of wins can create overconfidence. A missed trade can create fear of missing out, often called FOMO. Low-quality market conditions can create boredom, which pushes a trader to force setups that are not really there. Even non-market factors matter. Lack of sleep, distraction, personal stress, and rushing can reduce self-control. None of these guarantee a mistake, but they increase the probability that rules will feel negotiable. Another reason traders break rules is that some rules are too vague to enforce. "I'll cut losses quickly" sounds responsible, but it is not operational. In practice, vague rules leave room for improvisation under pressure. Clear rules are easier to follow because they require less debate in the moment. That does not make trading easy, but it reduces the number of judgment calls when emotions are elevated. Here is a practical framework. First, identify the condition. What state are you in before the trade or during it? Calm, impatient, angry, euphoric, tired? What story is your mind telling you? I need this trade to work. I cannot miss the move. I was right, the market is wrong. Third, identify the likely rule break. For example, increasing size, entering early, moving a stop, or revenge trading. Revenge trading means taking impulsive trades after a loss in an attempt to recover quickly. Fourth, define a circuit breaker. A circuit breaker is a pre-planned interruption, such as stepping away, reducing size according to your written plan, or stopping for the session if a specific condition appears. Hypothetical example. Imagine a trader who normally waits for a complete setup before entering. Earlier in the day, they took 2 losses. Nothing unusual by itself. Then they see a market move begin without their signal fully confirming. Internally, the pressure builds. If I miss this, the whole day is wasted. That sentence is the early warning sign. The trader enters early, the trade fails, and frustration increases. The next trade is larger than usual. Notice the sequence. The real turning point was not the bigger loss. It was the moment the trader attached emotional meaning to recovering the day. Now compare 2 approaches. One approach is outcome-focused. The trader asks, "Did I make money today?" The other is process-focused. The trader asks, "Did I follow my rules? And if not, what condition led to the break?" Outcome focus can be misleading, because a bad process can still produce a profitable day, and a good process can still include losses. Process focus is usually more useful for behavior change because it targets what the trader can directly control. There are also alternatives for catching rule breaks. Some traders rely on willpower alone. That can work temporarily, but it is fragile under stress. Others use structured tools, checklists, trade journals, pre-trade questions, fixed routines, or automatic order placement. These do not remove emotion, but they reduce the number of emotionally loaded choices. The best tool depends on the trader, platform, market, and rules being used, so there is no universal method. There are limitations. Not every rule break comes from emotion alone. Sometimes the rule itself is poor, outdated, or unsuitable for a specific market regime. A market regime means the broader behavior of the market, such as trending or choppy conditions. Also, self-diagnosis can be biased. A trader may rationalize a mistake as discretion or blame conditions instead of behavior. And in some cases, the line between necessary adaptation and harmful inconsistency is genuinely unclear. The practical takeaway is simple. Do not wait to analyze self-sabotage after the damage compounds. Define your most common trigger states, the stories that appear in those states, the rule break that usually follows, and one interruption you will use immediately. If you can catch the sequence one step earlier, you give yourself a real chance to protect both capital and discipline. This is educational content, not financial, investment, tax, or legal advice.